this thing working? Give me some sound over here. Yeah.
The Out of Bounds Show is powered by the award-winning golf courses at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
And good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're streaming live on thezone1059.com. You can watch the show right now on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Watch us on Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds Show. We have a Brian Snitker bobblehead doll on the set right now and an M Braves helmet. Although I do have a Houston Astros hat over there signed by Roy Oswalt, so that may be a good thing for our next guest. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by your next Ram truck or Jeep Grand Cherokee at Mac Hike in Flowood. Visit MacHikeFlowood.com if you're in the market for an SUV or truck. That's MacHikeFlowood.com. And we want to welcome in the Houston Astros hitting coach. Hold on, let me put some respect on that. The World Series champion, Houston Astros hitting coach, and he is Troy Snitker on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Troy Snitker, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Well,
I like that. That second part sounded pretty good.
I bet that did,
World
man.
Series winner. Man.
I bet you've had a grin on your face for the last couple of weeks, and what was it like to have all of that finally come to fruition a couple weeks ago?
It's something that's almost undescribable, the feeling, of getting that last out. I've been up in the big leagues with the Astros for 4 years now, and we've been to the World Series 3 times. And, the previous 2 times we've lost to, NL East teams. And so to actually get that last out and complete the goal was unbelievable.
Oh, man. Troy Snitker, Houston Astros on the Yuengling Lager guest line. All right, so how's the temperature up there in North Dakota this morning?
I'm sitting in the truck in a cornfield right now, and it's 20 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour winds. I think it's like a -5 feel.
Goodness gracious.
So everybody's we're hunting ducks up here, so it's everybody's putting out decoys right now, and I'm sitting in the truck in the heat.
That's what you get to do when you're a World Series champion.
Thank you guys for getting me out of that duty.
All right, where is the coldest place that you have coached? Where's the coldest spot that you've coached since being with the Astros?
It would have to be, I would say, Minnesota. A few years ago, we were in Minnesota at the beginning of the year in the first month, and it was snowing and, sub-30s. And anytime, you're trying to hold a bat or throw a small leather ball in sub-30-degree weather, that's tough. That's pushing it.
Ooh.
So luckily they have, in places like that, they run heaters all through the dugout, and, we're staying as close as we can to those.
Yeah, Minneapolis I guess you're talking about early April. In
April?
Yeah. Woo. Troy Snitker on the Out of Bounds Show. So how's the duck hunting going? How long have you been up there?
We've been up here for 5 or 6 days. We go on this trip every year. So this is I met the group up a little bit later, with the season going so long this year. So that was another nice problem to have. But, these guys drove up and I got to fly up right after. So not too bad.
What was it like? All right, what will the holidays be like? Because did your dad talk for our listeners? Troy Snitker's father is Brian Snitker, won the World Series with the Braves last year and was the first M Braves manager, who is a great partner of ours. Was there some smack talk in the Snitker family in the season, and do you plan to reciprocate in the next few weeks?
No, he was he was very easy on me after they they beat us last year. So there's nothing that I have to reciprocate. After the year last year, it sucks losing, but then you come back to. I live in Atlanta. Come back, live right around the family there, and we just, I kind of had to turn the page and celebrate him and kind of forget the fact that somehow we just lost in the World Series and support him. And obviously, as long as he's been doing it, I was extremely proud of him and happy for him. I would have done anything for, him to win a World Series before he retires, but unfortunately it was at our expense. But, now looking back, everything kind of aligned. He got his, we got ours. So everything worked out the way it should.
Yeah, it did. Describe what it's like to grow up as a coach's son.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've ever known. He's been with the Braves my entire life. Growing up, my mom was a school teacher, and so she was able to leave in the summers. And every last day of school, we had the car packed, all our stuff ready, and we would go meet my dad wherever he was. And so I grew up at a baseball field. I grew up at a clubhouse. I started bat boying in Durham, North Carolina when I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And ever since then, I would, go to the field with him and, either bat boy, help in the clubhouse. Once I got old enough, catching the bullpen, work out with the guys, all that stuff. I remember in 2005, I think, was the first year of the Mississippi Braves. Correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong, but I was in, I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I remember leaving for the summer and coming and working out with the team the whole time there in Jackson. At that point, I was old enough where I could jump in, take infield with him, take BP with him, catching the pen during. I think that was when I started catching in the bullpen during the games, and so yeah, just kind of never knew anything different. We never, he was gone for parts of the year when we were in school and still playing ball. He didn't get to see a ton of games that I played, but it was worth it just because, I got to go experience that and be around so many players and good coaches, and just an unbelievable experience.
I bet. We're visiting with World Series champion, Houston Astros hitting coach. He is Troy Snitker on the Yuengling Lager guest line. You're listening to Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Troy is in North Dakota. It's freezing up there, and he's duck hunting and kind enough to give us a few minutes before they go shoot some ducks. Hey, who were some of the bigger names as you were growing up, as your father, Brian Snitker, was coaching? Who were some of the bigger names that you got to rub shoulders with as a kid, as they were on their way up?
Growing up, Chipper was my guy. I wore number 10, Mizuno, batting gloves, wristbands, everything. When I was a kid, he played for my dad in Macon, Georgia in 91 or 92. So I always followed him, but, he was in the minor leagues with the Braves in a time where, all those good players were coming through. I remember, first year in Mississippi, I think it was Jeff Rancour, Brian McCann.
Yeah.
That was the year of the baby Braves where all those guys were getting sent up to the big leagues. Ryan Langerhans, Adam LaRoche, all those guys. So, spent a lot of time with all them. Man, there's a lot of guys that came through there that were big time players.
So how unusual is it to stay in an organization like your father for that many years, Troy?
It's something that's not very common at all, and especially not in today's game where guys are bouncing around a lot more to, get promotions, move on to the next job. But I think it's 45 years now at this point. This was his 45th season. He signed in 77.
Wow.
As a amateur free agent. And it's it's unbelievable. You know, we have, I think the longest tenured coach in our organization is like 22 years. So to think that he's double that is just something you really don't see. And I know he's proud of that. You know, I that's definitely something that, you know, I look up to a lot, that he's stuck it out. You know, the times were not always good. There were years, I'm sure, where he was, you know, maybe, you know, probably thought about moving on, trying to get a promotion somewhere else. But, you know, he just kept working, kept his head down, and, you know, we're incredibly grateful that he's been rewarded for it here the last few years.
Yeah, that was my next question. You know, how much did he talk? He wasn't sure if he'd get this shot as the Atlanta Braves manager, you know? He wasn't. I think he kind of gave up on it at some point, just thinking that, you know, his time had kind of come and gone, and you know, kind of went back down to the minor leagues after being in the big leagues for, you know, a pretty long stint, and went back down to AAA to manage. And, you know, then, you know, a year later, he's getting the call to go up there and lead that team. Incredible. We're visiting with World Series champ Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach, on the Out of Bounds show and the Yuengling Lager guest line. So let's talk about your approach. At that level, at the level that you're swimming at, everybody's good. Just to get there is incredible, as you know, growing up in it and being a baseball player yourself. So how much of it, once you get the guys, and especially they're all so talented, but they're going to struggle at some point, how much of it is coaching and how much of it is psychological from your vantage point, Troy?
It's a lot of each. No doubt. It's, you know, your job's kind of twofold, where, you know, you're coaching more hitting specific things, mechanics, things like that. And then, you know, anybody that knows baseball knows how hard it is, and knows, you know, how much you fail, especially as a hitter. And so then, you know, on a daily basis, you're trying to see where guys are at mentally, trying to see, you know, if they're pressing, if they're feeling good, kind of what they're struggling with. So it's a constant balance of, you know, having guys confident and feeling ready to go, or, you know, getting their minds right, or, you know, kind of identifying if something physically, mechanically is off, where, you know, we need to look into that as well. But yeah, like you said, some of the best hitters in the game can fall off the cliff, just like a minor leaguer or a rookie. So you've always got to be ready and kind of on top of things.
This interview is brought to you by Raggio Mercantile Shop in Raymond, Mississippi, on the square. Fantastic place. Josh Raggio also dropped his custom duck call shop in the back of the Mercantile Shop, and it's super cool. We want you to visit over the holidays. Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach. Troy, how about our guy Josh Raggio? Good dude, huh?
Man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to go check out the new shop. I've seen a lot of pictures of it, and checked out the online store. I think we got some guys here in the group that are going to be ordering some duck calls here soon when we're done. But I'm ready to stop in there and see Josh and see the shop, maybe buy some Christmas presents.
There you go. And I think I hear that y'all will be duck hunting in Arkansas sooner than later, maybe in the next few weeks.
Yeah. No, Josh is a really good friend of mine. He was, you know, it was awesome. He got to come out for some of those games, got to be out there when we won it. So ready to go hang out, ready to go, you know, enjoy duck camp either in Mississippi or in Arkansas, and, you know, get to relax and get off the grid a little bit.
He is Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach, on the Yuengling Lager guest line, brought to you by Raggio Mercantile Shop in Raymond, Mississippi. Blake Scott, you got a question?
Yes, Troy, I got two questions for you. One I think you'll love. One we'll see. What's harder to do, get a good hitter out of a slump when it's real bad, or to get out of your truck after we get done with this interview in that 15-degree weather with 20-mile-per-hour winds?
Man, the second one's easier. I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm looking at my clothes that I gotta put on, and looking at this wind whipping. Definitely that one. I can suck that up any day of the week. But yeah, it's tough. Sometimes when guys get swimming or they're struggling, it can be a little while before you get them out of that rut.
Yeah, how do you I think about what Jose Altuve and really your whole offense in the early part of the postseason. It took time. It took guys like Verlander and some of these pitchers to really dominate because the offense wasn't ginning, and then all of a sudden you get it going at the end and obviously take home the title pretty convincingly over Philadelphia. How do you keep – some of those guys had been there before, but some definitely haven't. How do you keep that even keel approach so that you don't start fighting? Because when you start scratching and trying to get at it, it gets worse, Scuffling. It seems. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've been lucky enough to go to the ALCS in 4 out of the 4 years that I've been there, but I was I don't know if amazed is the right word, but the pitching this year in the playoffs was unlike anything I think we had seen in years past. Going back and watching some of these games, I don't know how anybody gets a hit sometimes in these playoffs. I mean, every single guy you're facing is throwing 98 with crazy moving off-speed pitches, and then at the first sign of struggle, they're bringing another guy in that's doing the same thing, that's fresh. So early on in the playoffs, we played Seattle. They have an unbelievable pitching staff. Then we play the Yankees, who, you're going up against Garrett Cole and one of the best bullpens in the game. It's never ending. So you may take an 0 in one game and then turn around and you got to face, a Cy Young candidate in the next game. So you just, you do your best to. The good thing about the playoffs is that guys aren't worried about personal numbers. They're not worried about their 0 for whatever. They're just, if you can come up with one big hit, one big game, it can change your entire postseason. So guys are, they don't care about the personal stuff. They're just going up every at bat, just trying to do something positive. And our guys do a great job of that. They do a great job of kind of just trying to pass the torch and putting together, tough at bats one after another. So that's, that was just the mindset. And our guys are talented enough where if they do that long enough, good things are going to happen.
Coming off a World Series championship, he is Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach on the Yuengling Lager guest line. All right, Troy, last one. I got to ask about this guy because I'm kind of fascinated with him, especially at his age. But just off the charts, dude qualities, and seems like he's got a lot of blank U in him. Verlander and that performance at 39 years old with some of the things that have gone against him. What's he like? And talk about what it was like to watch him give the Astros that performance in the World Series.
He's if you would describe him in one word, he's a machine. It's been incredible to watch him, the last few years. He's on another level in basically everything that he does, whether it's, how he prepares for the games and, with his video work, the amount of detail that he places, in his pitching mechanics and his game plan, and just literally everything that any base you could possibly cover, he does it. Extremely focused, extremely competitive, confident. It's the whole deal. And when you get guys that have all those qualities, you see, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's done just about everything you could do in the game. We were extremely, happy for him and for our team that he was able to go out and give us that big World Series win, which is first, there in Philly. That was big time for us. But he's just, guys like that, they're a different animal. They're it's special to watch them go about everything that they do. Very deserving of, the Cy Young that he won last night.
Wow. Well, we'll leave it there. We appreciate Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach and World Series champion. And this is unbelievable. His father, as the Atlanta Braves manager, won it the year before. And so I think there's going to be a lot of celebrating over the next 6-7 weeks in the Snitker family, which is pretty awesome. And his dad was the first manager of the Braves back in 2005. And Troy nailed it with McCann and Francoeur. And, of course, this market was all worked up, having the Braves and landing the Braves in 2005. And the Braves are a great partner of ours. Troy, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. Have a great time in North Dakota, and have a wonderful holiday season.
All right, guys. Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Troy Snitker, Houston Astros hitting coach, on the Out of Bounds show and the Yuengling Lager guest line. And that interview was brought to you by Raggio Mercantile Shop in Raymond, Mississippi, on the square. And our friend Josh Raggio also dropped his Raggio Custom Duck Call Shop in the back of the Raggio Mercantile Shop. And thank you to Troy Snitker for hanging out with us. Blake, that was pretty cool. They're coming off a World Series championship.
Yeah.
I watched 3 of those games. There was all kinds of ties, Lance Barksdale and so on. Snitker has come, both of them really came through here, as Brian was the manager here right out of the gate in 2005. And Troy mentioned leaving Atlanta, and I think he said his 10th grade year, and coming over here for the summer when the Braves, when his dad was the manager. Isn't that cool?
It's hilarious how small these things can be sometimes, how small a world it can be. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's to get to face your dad last year, and obviously you come up short, which is unfortunate, and it's a bittersweet thing because his dad, as he said, has grinded for nearly 50 years.
I know.
Nearly 50 years of grinding. And the first 40 of them, he got no shot. I mean, he basically was just kind of shipped around from minor league to minor league to minor league to minor league, and finally gets kind of a offhanded shot at the Braves. And then things just accelerate. They were ahead of schedule last year. They weren't supposed to win it without Ronald Acuna Jr. And all these things come
they made
together.
Some moves in July.
Well, and he, between Anthopoulos, the personnel guy, the head of the baseball program, so to speak, and then Snitker on the field managing and pulling every right move and every right button. It was cool, but you lose and your dad wins, and then you get to turn around and get right back. And it's so hard to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, 156 games. We talk about in college baseball how hard it is to get to the final series.
Sure.
Some people work their lifetime to never get there. And for them to be there, as he said, 3 out of 4 and be in the running and finally get the win, what a cool opportunity.
Yeah. We got to give a shout out to one of our friends and partners, Blake, Roy Oswalt.
That's right, 44 prime, baby.
Houston Astros Hall of Fame. That interview was for him, too. Houston Astros Hall of Famer.
You think he had a good time?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He got to go throw out the first pitch.
Hey, ain't a bad deal.
No. Houston Astros Hall of Fame, owner of 44 Prime in Stark Vegas, Mississippi. 44prime.com. If you're in Starkville this weekend, hit Spring Street Cigars and Lounge. You can smoke cigars there. Great humidor. Upstairs, downstairs, beautiful, beautiful building, exposed brick, beams, all that kind of stuff. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Raggio Mercantile Shop in Raymond, Mississippi. Back in a second.